Well, talk a little bit about what I always like to ask people that, especially have made their first feature film, is what did you learn on this film that you will take to your next projects? And it can be either something that you learn to not do or something to do for future projects.
Mm. I think for me, uh, I'm going to talk in a less results oriented manner to actors, um, which on this film, I don't think I think I spoke in a very results oriented manner instead of appealing to the psychology of the actors or the character that the actor is trying to play. And while we were able to get what we wanted, maybe there was some degree that was left on the table with the performances, some nuance that could have been brought
Hmm.
out if I was just speaking in less of a mechanical way. Because, as a director or, you know, someone trying to make, capture a vision, you're often like, oh, that should be cooler or warmer, or, you know, that needs more light or less light, or put a red dress on. Those are very mechanical terms. And I think I sort of spoke to the actors, and maybe not all the time. I think some of the best stuff happened when I would uh, try and appeal to the character and say, trying to get the actor in the right emotional state instead of what I thought was, just giving them their space, you know, trying and then making little corrections and trying to shoot as much as possible, which is what we did, and we were lucky enough to do that, to just like shoot and shoot and shoot and get the nuances we want. But maybe there was some level of efficiency left on the table by sort of the mechanicalness of the way I was talking to the actors. I don't know. That's just for me.
Yeah, and I think even just as little as like going over to the actors and talking to them, because I know I was guilty of that. Occasionally, you'd like talk across the room, and you're like, well, it might be better to actually just go talk to them,
Yeah,
to not feel like you're in such a rush where you can't take the time to do that because you really can. That
yeah.
sort of stuff.
Yeah, you got to take your producer hat off,
Yes.
and that's something we learned. By the end of it, the cruel thing of making a movie is by the end, you're like, I'm ready to make another movie now.
Yeah.
In fact,
I
I'm like much more ready to make even the movie I just made. You know?
yeah. Yeah, you understand it far better. That
Yeah,
that's definitely the one thing I learned to take away from this is just the trust in the whole process of filmmaking. That really just try and see an idea all the way through. Don't feel super insecure about it because if you see it all the way through, it might come to a resolve itself in a way that's rather beautiful and subtle, and you were just nervous about that because it didn't have the music or it wasn't cut or colored correctly.
mm,
So I think it is like learning to trust in some of those initial feelings and then just getting
yeah.
it there and then making the decision once it's in a
I
more
think
final state.
Yeah, I think feelings is a much. I think that's the appropriate term. Is that
Hmm.
for whatever reason, I think as a filmmaker, you have these feelings towards an idea, and if usually that's the right thing to do, and it's in doubting those feelings that you usually make something that's of poor quality. But
Yeah.
like I think with this movie, we had the resolve to sort of be like, no, we trust in this idea. It just needs this or that, or it needs to be colored, because all those things, while they seem insignificant, have a huge psychological impact on your perception of the film. That's
Yeah,
why it
just the
sucks to show people things.
Yeah, the final mastering, just that of like leveling out all the sound and make that has such a giant difference on the psychological viewing of a movie that it's just crazy. And like when it finally gets there, you're like, oh, all the little things that bothered me are gone now because they had to do with misbalance, really.
Yeah, you can definitely get in your head a little bit too much. And I've found that myself stepping into a producer role, which I didn't ever expect to do, but just being freaked out constantly instead of. But I don't know. Maybe that's good a little bit that producers freaking out, looking for everything that could possibly go wrong, and then you squash it before it does. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's good to have that kind of mindset, especially like when we were filming the movie, we're also having to produce it, and you're
Hmm.
very aware of how easily it could fall apart, how a day
Right.
could just become a disaster. But I think that keeps you're very aware of that, and you can actually stop that from happening. You can have a productive day. So I think it's good to let you not waste the opportunity you just spent a bunch of money on trying to
Yeah.
make.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.